Jo from Fine and Country, and today I'm going to invite Kate Foster from Lemon and Lime Interiors in to discuss the benefits and actually how important it is to make sure that your property is beautifully staged for presentation when you're selling your home. So if you'll just bear with me, this always takes a bit of a while because you can see me whilst I'm typing in to invite her. Let's wait for her. In the meantime, I just wanted to say actually that staging is becoming more and more important and more mainstream as people are beginning to understand the benefits of staging. And it's now people are staging like they do in the States and getting their house ready for marketing. And we just got Kate just joined us from Lemon and Lime Interior. Morning. Lemon and Lime Interior are our Fine and Country team for our staging. Thank you so much for joining us, Kate. How are you?
Oh, pleasure. I'm fine, thanks. Fine.
Good. I've got some questions that were posed in Instagram over the week when I posted that we were going to do live. And before I ask them, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your background. So tell us a bit about you, your background, and what you do with Lemon and Lime Interior.
Okay, well, my background is agency, actually, so same as you to start with. So with a couple, well, three of the sort of big national firms dealing in the high-end sector of the market, and then joined Lemon and Lime 6 years ago, just over 6 years ago.
Right.
And again, we deal with the prime end of the market. I mean, primarily working with Fine and Country, and we deal with lived-in houses and empty houses and anything really that needs getting ready for market. So,
and before you joined, I was saying it's becoming a bit more mainstream than it used to be in terms of we're beginning to be a bit more like the States, recognising the importance of it.
Yeah, we're really pleased actually that we get loads of calls now direct to the office, coming direct to us before people have even decided which agent they're going to use, which is great. And you know, we work really hard. Elaine, who owns the company, Elaine Penhall, she spends most of her time, you know, promoting staging across the UK and beyond. She goes and talks in the States as well.
Yeah.
But it is definitely getting traction.
Brilliant. So I've got 3 questions from people. So I'll leap straight in. So Janie ST3RL says, how much does it cost to get your property staged for selling, and how much is the investment worth? Now, I know that's a bit of a tricky question, but if you could use some examples, that'd be great.
Quite wide ranging, because again, it depends on whether it's empty and whether we're furnishing it right from scratch, which is, you know, quite different than if there's a lived-in house and we're going in and doing bits and pieces. So for an empty one, a really good guide, but we don't use this to measure how we cost it out, is probably 1 to 1.5% of the guide. But you know, that is it's a really rough measure.
So if it's £1 million, we're talking 10 to 15,000.
Yeah, and everything we do is each piece of furniture has got its own value. So we're very bespoke in how we quote. So we'll stand in a room and say, okay, it needs a sofa and 2 chairs and, you know, whatever else it might need. So everything is priced individually.
Right.
And the same with, say, a lived-in property. We'll go in and, you know, there'll be a cost for the decluttering if we do it. Sometimes the owners do it themselves, and then we will go in and do other bits of staging for them, and it can be anything. They might need some decorating, they might need new carpets, they might need some gardening. So the cost is quite hard to sort of quantify.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the investment, so if someone were to do, like, I don't know, on £1 million house, that they've done 1.5%, which is 15,000. What's your experience of the uplift in the amount that they achieve afterwards?
Really, really good in lots of cases. I've got a really good example of one that, this is an empty property, for instance. It went on the market with an agent prior to it going on with Fine and Country. So they put it on at 950. It spent 145 days on the market with absolutely no interest, but obviously no investment either. Fine and Country then got instructed. The owner spent 9,680, I think it was. It went back on the market. Yeah, it went back on the market for £1 million, and they achieved £1,050,000. So that's
wow.
good example. So
that's a brilliant example. Yeah, absolutely. That's
yeah,
definitely worth investment.
yeah. And then we did a lovely farmhouse that was a lived-in one. It had been, the family had been there for years. They spent 3,500 on a house that went on the market at 1.75.
Wow.
And it achieved 105 more than the guide by,
Wow.
you know, that was a really good tidy up. They did a bit of decorating, but, you know, lots of us going in and doing lots of tidying up and staging, and it made a huge difference. So it is really hard to quantify, but they're really good examples of
yeah, absolutely. And your experience is that if you invest a little bit, you will get more than you invest back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're really good examples. Again, of somebody the other day talking and saying, oh, they can't be bothered with staging. And I couldn't understand. They said, well, I think we'll just drop the price. Well, I think from having a look at what they got online, they'd probably spend 4,000 to 5,000 maybe, and they were going to have to drop it. They wanted to drop it by 100,000, and I can't understand why they would do that.
That makes sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. Oh my goodness. So moving on to the next question, which you've kind of answered in this question, is Heathman Ricky asks, can you stage your property if you're living in it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll work around anybody that's living in anything. Quite often we're working around children, dogs, you know, messy family, but we can do loads to help that. We'll work with the owner's contents. We might add a few bits. We're highly likely to take quite a lot out.
Right.
But we give people the tools to be able to live around what we're doing and be able to live around actually the agent ringing up and saying, I've got a viewing tomorrow.
Right. So you're not living in a museum if somebody...
No, nobody can live like that.
No, absolutely not, especially with
but
children.
we will give them lots of ideas of how to suddenly do a really quick tidy up.
Fantastic. And then Sophie Lure says, is it possible to stage our home just for the photos and video?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. We wouldn't recommend it because I think it really starts the sale off by a negative. If somebody's seen a house looking fantastic online or in a brochure, wherever it might be, and then they actually get there and all the furniture's gone, it immediately starts everything off at a negative. So yes, it helps the marketing. We would recommend things stay in for, you know, well, for a minimum until that you've exchanged contracts, or at least until you think you've got all your viewings done. But you never know how that's going to, you know, how long that's going to last. But
so, if I say, adding on to that question, if you stage it just for the photographs, is there a minimum term that you rent the furniture for?
We normally do it for 2 months. I mean, we will do any length of time, but we think 2 months works really, really well. It gets you through those viewing stages and almost to exchange of contracts. Sometimes extended a bit longer. We'll let people do it for, you know, as long as they need the furniture, but 2 months works out about right. And you know, the whole idea of staging is that it speeds up that process of everything going through. So we would stage on, you know, maybe day 1 and day 2, and photographs are taken on day 3. So a client isn't paying to rent the furniture for any longer than they need to.
Absolutely. It's weird, isn't it, how people can't perceive what a room will look like if it's empty or if it's got furniture that they don't like or clutter.
Yeah, I mean, we often say, you know, you can see a single bed in a really good sized bedroom, and people go home and go, oh, so there was 2 doubles, but oh yeah, 2 singles. Whereas we will always, you know, scale a room by putting a double in, and it adds the value. You know, and they look at people's clutter everywhere and just think, oh, they're looking at that and not at the bones of the house.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. So, in terms of how the process works, if I wanted to stage my home and I go through Fine and Country, I understand that the first consultation is free. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll come. I mean, occasionally we will do it by video call, depending on where it is, but and the speed of getting to the owner. But we will, you know, jump in the car and go out and see a property and walk around with them. And if it's an empty house, we can easily do a quote via a floor plan, and that's really quick. And we can do that way ahead of time. If it's lived in, it is much easier to go and see it. Although we do lots of video calls of people walking around with their phones with a WhatsApp call to give them a few pointers to start with, and you know, set them off, and then we'll perhaps come in and finish off the staging later.
Fantastic. And you cover most of the country, don't you?
Yep, right down to the south coast and up north. Yeah,
Brilliant.
we spend hours in the car, but it works.
I bet you do. Kate, is there anything that you want to say that I haven't asked that you know is important to the staging process?
I think it's important for people to realise that home staging is not expensive. It's about investing in your property before you put it on the market. It's a really brilliant marketing tool that is designed to, you know, to get people the best result. So it is, you know, yes, we help people emotionally by, you know, getting them moved, but it's essentially it is the financial result at the end that we want to you know, make the difference for.
Definitely.
I think still people feel that it's, oh God, it's going to be expensive, and they think sometimes it's about interior design. It's not. It's about just making sure your house looks amazing when it goes on the market. And I often say to people, when they're umming and ahhing, and say, okay, how would you feel when your house goes on the market? It's going to go on the internet. The whole world can see it. Your friends will be nosy, you know, the buyers out there, and they will be highly, highly critical. And you are in competition with so many others.
Yeah.
So,
and in the market now, where it's they're not going off, flying off the shelves like they did last year. It's much more important to make sure that the presentation is ready before you get out there, and absolutely, and then you can expose it.
I think staging works in a bad market and a good market, because in a good market there's lots of competition, so you want yours to stand out, and in a bad market you want to make sure you make as much as possible. So there is no as far as we're concerned, obviously there's no negative.
I totally agree. Unless of course your house is immaculate and perfect, and then there is no need for staging.
There are loads of those, but on the whole I still think you can tweak something. It's like, you know, Lane and I often say it's like washing your car before you sell it and cleaning it out. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, true. Absolutely true. It just makes a little bit of a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And in some cases a massive difference.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking a couple of £1,000s here. We are talking tens of thousands, especially at the top end of
as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, you've been amazing. I know you've got to dash to an appointment to do a staging for someone. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, pleasure. It's lovely to talk to you. I mean, if anybody's got any questions, just send them through, because we'll answer them anytime.
So if anybody's got any questions, pop them in the comments, and we'll send them over, or direct mail one of us. Fantastic.
Yeah.
You've been amazing. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Jo. Thanks.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.